Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA and e-commerce podcast.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm.
All right, so the other day we were experimenting. Adam Heist was our guinea pig, and oh man, I'm glad he was the guinea pig. But guess what? Like anywhere in the world I could be, I have to run into Adam chasing me down and basically trying to body slam me because I did such a bad interview with him. But no, he's actually a really great guy. And I got to meet him in person for the first time. I'm meeting so many people in Vegas for the first time. It's really great. The only bad thing is I got to do this in my hotel room, and I'm really hoping that the internet's going to hold out. If it doesn't hold out, we can always blame Kelsey. So Kelsey is the blame for everything. And you know what? I don't know about you, but people are coming up to me at the show. I went to the Helium 10 show or event last night, and I think people think I pick on Kelsey too much. I think it's too little. But we'll get to that in a second. All right. So today we are going to be talking about differentiated brands made in India. They're made with Indian products. So I can't wait to talk about this. There's so many people that are just heading over to China because nobody tells you how to go over to India. So we've got two experts in that. We're going to be talking about India and China. And both of our guests have had over 20 years experience in Asian sourcing. So it's going to be a good podcast. But before I get started, and this is, man, I'll never screw up her sponsorship because I realized last night how big Chris Schifferling is, and I'm not messing with the guy. So I better get his sponsorship right. So a big thank you to our sponsor, Global Wired Advisors, a leading digital investment bank focused on optimizing the business sales process. For more information, contact Chris and his team at globalwiredadvisors.com. There you go, Chris. I said it. Now you're not going to come after me. Okay, Kelsey, where are you?
Hello. Hope you're enjoying Vegas.
I am.
Victor is saying, don't forget to hydrate, and I can hear it in your voice a little bit. So hope you have some time to rest today and get all ready for today's show at Prosper. But welcome everyone. Welcome Daniel, Tony, Victor, Sharon, Manny. It's great to see everyone. How is everyone doing? If you're in Vegas, how is it? What is your experience so far? Also, Tony's asking you, Norm, how is Vegas? What do you think so far?
Oh, it's awesome. You know what? Here's the difference. I walk outside my Canadian home, go into a store, and I can be basically fined, possible jail time because I don't wear a bloody mask. In Vegas, we went to Cirque du Soleil the other day. It was like thousands of people. I kind of had culture shock. Back in the swing of things again. Vegas is wide open, which is, I didn't expect it to be like this, but it is. Really no mask required. And it's great. But I have to tell you, I did get my second shot, so I could get back into the country without the 3-day hotel stay. And also, I'm meeting so many of the Beard Nation. Like Marsha, I got to meet her last night and, really just talk to her, not as much as I wanted. And Mark, seeing Mark, I couldn't, putting two and two together, just it looks different when you meet somebody in person. Craig Andrews, we're going to go for a cigar. Hopefully others from the nation can come with us too. But it's great. It's really something else. Like you all know that I like networking, and I like, just the party thing is, I'm an old guy. I'll let everybody else do the partying stuff. I just take pictures and blackmail them the next day. I make lots of money that way. But for me, it really is great just seeing people again. So You'll have to come next time, Kels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just stop making mistakes. Stop making mistakes.
I know. I'm writing it down. Every mistake I make, I write it down and add it to an Excel sheet.
Oh, there's a lot of other.
One day. Yeah. It's a very long sheet. But yes, of course, everyone smash those like buttons if you haven't already. If you have any questions about sourcing in India or any other place, this is your time to ask. put them in the comment sections. Don't be afraid. There's no stupid questions here. Also, if you are interested, if you missed an episode and you're wondering where to look, go check out our YouTube channel, Norman Farrar. That's where all the episodes go, along with some daily highlights. And let me see, if you're interested in some bonus content, more of the beard, more private, small lessons, small group experience, you can check out our Patreon program. That is our paid membership area. Just go to our website, lunchwithnorm.com, and click on the membership area. And yeah, you can check out what we have to offer. Yeah, and welcome Patia, Payman, Andrew. It's going to be a good show, and I can't wait to get started. Also, our guests are up very late right now, so
they're probably saying, "Yeah, shut up and get to the show."
Yeah, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
Okay.
All right, so welcome everyone, and enjoy the show.
Fantastic. So my guest today, I didn't even say it. See, I'm still out of sync here, but two ladies that, Meghla's been on the show before, but Meghla Bhardwaj and Margaret Jolly, I've been on their podcast. Meghla's been on mine, I think maybe even twice, but just incredible knowledge. Thinking about China, think about India. And I'm just gonna let Meghla and Margaret talk about what they're doing, what they're up to right now. But ladies, where are you? Okay, how late is it?
Hi, Norm. It's 12 a.m. for me and Margaret.
Oh boy.
Hi, Norm. It's 2 a.m. or 2:08 a.m. for me.
Oh man, are you in Australia?
I'm in Australia, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Anyway,
Only for you, Norm.
Yes, we'd only do it for you.
No, this is awesome. So I do have to say one thing to our audience. So sit back, relax, grab your cup of coffee, and enjoy this episode. Ladies, please tell me a little bit about yourself. Meghla, let's start with you.
Definitely. So my background is basically in sourcing. I've been in the sourcing industry for almost 20 years. I started my career in India. Then I worked in the Philippines, China. I was there for 10 years. I worked in the sourcing industry there. And I am now based in Singapore for the last 6 years. And for the last 2 years or so, I've been focused on helping Amazon e-commerce sellers source products from India. And together with Margaret and Kevin, now we have started India Sourcing Network, which is basically a platform that provides Amazon e-commerce sellers everything they need to source private label products from India. So super excited about this new venture, and the new website just launched this month, July 3rd. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff coming up.
Yes, so it is indiasourcing.net, correct?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, so you've got to check that out too. And Kelsey, make sure you put that up there. It's a brand new site, and you guys sent me a really gorgeous just goodie bag. It was fantastic. I was really surprised with some of this stuff. And I bet you everybody says this. What was the showstopper? It was that mug.
Yeah.
That was, I showed it. I don't know if everybody saw it on the show, but I mean, a really beautiful mug. It was a hammered mug with a copper plate on it, and I think it was a teal coaster. But it was gorgeous. And the other products were too. A lot of textile based, and we're going to get into the different types of sourcing that you can do from India. Okay, so now Margaret, let's talk about you for a bit.
Okay, well, I suppose most of my life I've been either in some sort of business or management role, and sort of semi-retired and a bit bored, and decided to look at sort of doing more Amazon. We stumbled across a course here in Australia and started sourcing from China originally. We were heading to Canton Fair, and we stopped off in Hong Kong for a couple of days and went to, it was the mega fair there, and we found this Indian supplier as we were walking along, and I just fell in love with all the products that were so different to what we'd seen. And I suppose the rest is history. We spent sort of a couple of days virtually with him at the fair and virtually placed an order whilst we were there. And we went to Canton and got a bit bored and didn't really finish Canton much. We decided we'd move to India. So that's our story. We've been sourcing with him for over 4 years. And then Meghla approached us because we were sourcing from India about, I don't know, 2-3 years ago now, and the rest is history. Here we are. We're now well and truly entrenched in India and travelling to India as soon as we can. We're waiting to go back again. Aren't we, Meghla? We're dying to go.
Yeah.
I want
That
to
is
hear the
gonna
big
be a trip.
beeps.
I told Tim I've never been to India before. I never thought I'd be doing a lot of sourcing in India when I first got into Amazon, but now it's like it is a viable spot to source. And I guess that's my next question. Let's talk about the viability and the quality of Indian products, because there's a lot of people that might still be hesitant to go and go outside of China. And people are stuck on China. You know, it's like in Canada, we have a coffee brand called Tim Hortons. I hate Tim Hortons, please don't sue me. I don't like their coffee, but everybody and their mother is just, it's got to come from Tim Hortons. Same thing with China. There's a lot of courses that teach China, 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 China. No alternatives. So how viable is it to source in India?
So India is a very viable option. And in fact, a lot of the large retailers and brands have been sourcing from India for decades. In fact, I started my career in sourcing in India way back in the year 2000. And at that time, there were, large export manufacturers, and they were supplying to a lot of these retail stores and, big brands around the world. And the thing with India is that India specializes in certain categories, whereas China has really developed as the factory of the world and producing anything and everything. India typically specializes in certain categories, and most of these categories are, the home goods, gift items, textiles, apparel, fabrics, those kinds of categories. Whereas in electronics or electrical products, those kinds of categories you won't really find in India that much, although that is changing a bit now. And over the next 3 to 5 years, I do see more electronics manufacturers being set up in India. But as of now, it's more of the home goods and gift items that are made from natural materials. And what I realized was that in around 2018, I guess, 2017, 2018, when the trade war started between China and the US. And at that time, I was organizing the Global Sources Summit in Hong Kong. And, a lot of people were saying that, hey, there's a trade war and tariffs are being imposed on products made in China that are coming into the US. And, what can we do? And people are looking for alternatives. And that's when it clicked to me that, hey, India is an alternative. There are so many export manufacturers. Why aren't Amazon sellers looking at India? And that's when I started exploring India as an option for Amazon sellers. I, to start this trip, basically, India sourcing trip, to take Amazon sellers to India to visit a fair and to visit factories. And that's how it all started. But so to come back to your question, yes, India is definitely a viable option. There are lots of different categories that you can consider that are very Amazonable from India as well.
I like that word.
Yeah.
We'll have to call this the Amazonable podcast. One of the other things that I liked in that gift pack, it was the plant hanger. And the thing that I liked about it were the polished rocks. It was something simple that differentiated the typical plant hanger that I would normally get, here or in China. And it was really kind of cool. I've never even thought about utilizing polished rocks. And they were like really beautiful, like the whole rainbow of colors. But this is where, when you do your research, now I don't know, I've got to hook back and ask you this other question, but doing your research on Amazon, you probably wouldn't see this as an option. So by going over to a sourcing agent in India, I'd go, and I'm just wondering if I wanted a planter made out of whatever material, are these some suggestions that would come back to us, or do you have to know the Indian market? Because for me, I say to my sourcing agent, I want this, this, and this. Can you suggest anything else? Would that have been something that they would have suggested, or would they have come up with some other alternative answers? It was really cool.
So they would definitely suggest things for you. You know, suppliers do have their catalogs and they do have in-house designers. They do develop products. They launch different ranges, you know, based on the seasons and all. So, and especially the larger, more established companies, they do work with overseas designers even, you know, especially if they're targeting specific markets like the US or Europe. They monitor the trends over there and then develop product ranges specific to those trends, you know, for different seasons. So that definitely does happen. So if you, but you also have to do your research on Amazon to find out, you know, what exactly is selling, and then you go find a supplier or a sourcing agent for that specific product, and you can definitely ask them to show, you know, you their catalog, and then you can maybe modify some of the designs that they already have, or you can start from scratch and say that, okay, this is my inspiration. Or you can, you know, get a photo from Pinterest or somewhere else and say, this is my inspiration, and let's work on this together and make something different. Margaret, do you want to add to that as well?
Yeah, well, I think the thing is, because most of the things are handmade, you can go in and just order a smaller MOQ. It's not like you probably, with China, I suppose, most of the time you go onto Alibaba, have a look what's there. It's on 10 sites. You pick one of the suppliers and off you go, because it's not really just different. But when you get to India, even if, say, you go to 10 different metal suppliers in sort of Moradabad, which is the area where it's all done, they all might make something out of metal, but I haven't actually seen the same product again. And I find most of the Indian suppliers online, you only get a very snippet of what they sell. You need to actually approach them and get their catalogue. So they don't sort of put out there everything they have to the general public. And that's why a lot of their ideas stay with them. So they're all got their own unique look, you know, with them. So I find that you can get a lot more very different products in, you know, say like a salad bowl, for instance, it wouldn't look the same as all the other people. They'd have a different twist on it, because they make them, you can design something, you can say, look, with our supply, we might say, can you do this? I want it to look like this. And they'll go off and just make it very quickly. We were in our factory and I had an idea of something I'd seen there, and I said, oh, do you think you could make a stand for this? And he said, what do you want? And a little man ran away, and about half an hour later he came back with this sort of, you know, bit of a raw looking thing and said, is this sort of what you mean? So, you know, whilst we were in the factory that day, we've actually, you know, developed a new product, because they can just go away and quickly do something by hand and bring it back and then, you know, finalise it later. So I think, whereas, you know, if you're going into China, it's got to be production, it's got to be, you know, a mould or something that they already have. So I find you can be really original with your ideas, and a lot of times you don't need a mould. A lot of the time it's just more handmade product.
So the product innovation is something that is not a problem.
No.
Because I know, like, we've had Afalabi Oralkhan on, I know you know, and he talks about product innovation. That's the way that you get into the hearts of Amazon buyers. And with India, is it that easy to do product innovation as well?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, look, I think you just, and I mean, I suppose the language barrier is a lot easier in India. So what I would do if I wanted to develop a product at the moment and I can't get to India, I would just sort of say to my supplier, jump on a call with me, we'd hop on Zoom and, you know, work together. I mean, I might have something here that I've seen or whatever, and you can just sort of say, can you tweak this, can you do that? They'll go away for, you know, a couple of days, do some work and come back, and you can hop back online and go, no, that's not what I mean, can you do this differently? So it can be just done basically like that. And if you know, give you your dimensions and your measurements and what wood, you know, and they can show you what types, because they have a lot of different types of wood over there. So they could give you all the different, you know, this is this piece of wood, but you can do it all on Zoom, and they use it a lot more frequently. We found in China it was very hard to get on a Zoom call with them, because they, you know, would never show their face to us and talk to us face to face. So I think it's a lot easier when you can communicate like that, to even without going there. But I mean, it's much better if you can get over and speak to them face to face. But, you know, we've just got to wait for that to happen.
Right. What about packaging and inserts and all those little things that you need to build up perceived value so you can get a higher price on Amazon? The quality of the packaging, is it there in India?
Definitely, definitely. In fact, just today we spoke to a packaging supplier for our website, and oh my God, they have every imaginable packaging. Whether it's tubes or jute bags or fabric bags or plastic or foam or anything, and they're like an all in one-stop shop for packaging. And the name is very interesting, Pac-Man. Yeah. But yeah, so all types of packaging options are available, and many times what happens is that the supplier themselves, they have a relationship with a packaging company, and they work with the company to supply or to develop your packaging. You tell the supplier that, hey, this is what I want, and then they go and work with the packaging supplier, and they send you samples of the packaging and maybe the printing and everything. So the supplier coordinates everything. Or you could work with a separate packaging company yourself, and send them a sample of your product, and then they will develop the packaging for you. There are a lot of companies that would also help you design the box. So if you just have a basic idea of what you want on the box, you can send them your ideas, send them some pictures or text, and then they would come back and design the box, and they would do the die lines, and they would even suggest the type of box that you need based on the product, especially if it's a breakable product, for example. You want to make sure that it's more secure. So and a lot of these packaging companies, they also understand how to do the drop tests and all, so they would do that for you as well, especially the more export focused ones. So yeah, packaging options, not a problem at all. It's really easy to develop unique packaging. And the one thing that I really like about India is all of the eco-friendly packaging. And I find that a lot of companies are actually focusing on that kind of packaging nowadays. So whether it's jute bags or paper or recycled paper. In the gift box that you received, Norm, I don't think there was much plastic. It was just the cup that was in a plastic bag. That's it. That was the only plastic that was there. But otherwise, yeah, a lot of eco. And Margaret, do you want to add something about packaging as well?
Yeah, look, I find our supplier is fantastic. I mean, we have the same brand, our brand, just on all our boxes look the same. So if we develop a new product and he knows the rules, make it as tight and snug as possible. Definitely do not go over 18 inches. I don't care what you do. I mean, he knows all my rules. So I just say to him, okay, organise the packaging, and he'll go off. We know the packaging supply. We've met him when we were in India last year as well. But they just work together and come back and say, here's the box, this is the dimensions. We suggest you put it in, Eva foam or whatever it's got to be, depending what the product is, whether you want a display box. And it's all done. I basically don't have to do very much at all. I leave it to them. If I'm not happy with it, I'll change it, or I might say to them, I want it to be, it's not important that it's on a display, it's not a gift or something. So you can actually just get it packed into a standard box, but it's up to you. But they are very easy to deal with. I had no problems, and the drop tests, we always get really good solid boxes. They're never been flimsy, because they know all the rules. They'll do everything like that for you. And once again, it's that communication. I mean, I think because and we sort of say to them, like, carton sizes, this is the maximum. We want as much in each carton to save lots of cartons, and going into 3PLs, it's more expensive. So we just sort of train our supplier on all that, and so now he knows it all and he understands. And I mean, I think if anybody else goes to him who's an Amazon customer, he'll say to them, because I've had a couple of people say, oh, the supplier told me that you said this, so he obviously has stuck in his mind that this has to be the Amazon rules, and so they're very good at it. Whereas we had a bad experience in China. I mean, we had a box designed with die lines, paid a guy in America to do it, and the girl from China sent a message, you have a very big box. And we thought, no, it's not very big. And when we actually got it over here, it was nearly twice the size of air. They couldn't read the die line, so they just made something up. Oh. And it was nothing like we needed. I mean, it cost us a fortune, because by then they'd made all the boxes. So it was just crazy. But that's another story. But yeah, so I find that they sort of know a little bit more and understand the Amazon sizing and the cost and everything, because we've drummed it into him how much all those extra centimetres cost. So it makes a big difference.
I've had experience back late 90s, early 2000s, outsourcing everything to India. And I love the experience because of the English language. Mm. It was, at least the groups of companies, the designers I was working with, they could speak to me, and I didn't have to worry about. I mean, they probably could. I can't really remember a loss in translation, but I'm sure there could be. But in China, that's a different story.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be talking like lost in translation. I mean, that's a daily thing. I mean, you can be very clear, but even wording, or let's say that you do prove something and you miss it. Well, I've had it come back and say, "Oh no, you've got it. There's a spelling error here." In China, that would have been missed. Not in every case, but a much higher rate than over there. People in India have a better grasp of the English language. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely. And, the accents may be different depending on the region
Right.
in India where they are. Like if they're, from South India, for example, they have a very strong accent and may be difficult to understand them. But yes, by and large, especially if you're dealing with suppliers and manufacturers and, people who are, and companies who are export focused, you'll find that it's very easy to communicate with them. And in fact, many of the factories, they are family-run businesses, and they're the grandfather or the father started the factory, and now the kids are sort of carrying on, managing the factory now. And a lot of times, what happens is that children go to study overseas, maybe to the U.S. or UK or somewhere, and then they come back and they do their MBAs and everything, and then they come back and start managing the factory. So you'll find that they're a lot more, sort of westernized, attuned to Western culture. They travel a lot. They visit, exhibit in overseas trade shows. That is very common as well. A lot of these exhibitors, a lot of these manufacturers, they exhibit at overseas trade shows. So yeah, totally.
Okay, so I forgot. I was just excited to have you on the show, but you guys are giving away a giveaway today as well. Do you want to explain
Yes.
what the giveaway is now that we're halfway through?
Absolutely, better late than never. So
Yeah,
we are
exactly.
giving away one ticket to our upcoming, brand new, never done before India sourcing workshop. And this is a 2-day workshop that's going to be held live, where we're going to be teaching you everything you need to know to start sourcing products from India, whether it's how to find and vet suppliers, negotiating, cultural sensitivities, products to source, quality control, inspections, everything. We've got like a really detailed curriculum for this course. And so it's worth $279, the ticket. And we start in, what's the date, Mark? 21st August.
21st of August, yeah.
21st of August, yes. And this is the first time that we're doing this workshop, and we're going to be doing it on a regular basis every few months, but the first one starts on August 21st.
Fantastic. So if you're looking to enter to get this great course, it's a 2-day course,
Yes, 2-day
correct?
workshop.
Yeah. So to get this 2-day course, around a $300 value, enter hashtag We Love Kelsey, or sorry, We Love Kelsey. That's just me as a dad. I love you, Kelsey. But Wheel of Kelsey. And if you tag 2 people, we'll get you in another entry. Okay, so one of the things, I'm kind of curious. Are you ever opening up your live events in India again? You had Source in India before. Are you still doing that?
Oh, definitely. We are waiting
Yeah.
to get back. As soon as the borders open, we are going there. We've got people, on our waiting list to join the trip. So, yep, we are going there as soon as we can.
Okay, well, let us know. Let us know so we could, tell the people that if they do want to check out India and go. I know that there's a few listeners that when you were on before, Meghla, that were part of your event, and they were blown away by it. So anyways, we'll let everybody know at that point. So hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. All right, let's talk about finding suppliers. How tough is it to go out there from scratch? China, you've got Alibaba, and you've got Alibaba for India as well. But how tough is it to find a good supplier?
So there are a couple of different ways to start. First of all, I would just say go to Google and just start searching for, whatever product you're looking for. most of the suppliers do have websites, even though they may not be updated. They don't have a lot of information on the website, or they may not. But then that's a great way to start, because Google and all of these search engines are not blocked in India, whereas in China they're blocked. So a lot of the suppliers may not be indexed on Google, but you'll be able to find quite a few suppliers on Google. Then the other thing you should do is go to Alibaba and Global Sources. Those are the two main export-focused supplier directories. And both of these companies do have offices in India as well. So they're very actively recruiting suppliers for their websites. And so once you're on these websites, what you need to do is, after you do a product search, you need to use the country location filter to search for suppliers from India. And usually you'll find the filter on the left-hand side. So once you do that, you'll be able to find suppliers from India or other countries as well. And the other thing you can do is, there are a lot of these export promotion councils in India that are basically, their task is to promote exports from India in certain categories. So for example, there's an apparel export promotion council, there's one for leather, there's one for handicrafts. So you can search for the websites of these export promotion councils, and you can try to download the supplier lists from there. All of these suppliers are exporters, so you know that they do have export experience. And that's a good list to start with. Another place to find suppliers is the Delhi Fair exhibitor list. Now, the Delhi Fair is a major trade show that's held in India twice a year. This is sort of the Canton Fair of India, and this is where we go on during our India sourcing trip as well. And if you can find the exhibitor list of this trade show, this is a very high quality supplier list, because all of these companies are exporters and the majority of them are manufacturers. When you are sourcing from India, it's important to source from export experienced, export focused factories, because there are a lot of companies in India that are domestic focused. India is a big country. There's so much demand locally. So there's a lot of production happening only for the domestic market. But the quality requirements may not be the same for the domestic market as they are for overseas markets. So you want to make sure that the supplier is familiar with your requirements, whichever market you're importing into, whether it's the UK, US, Australia, wherever, Canada. You want to make sure that the supplier understands the quality requirements for export markets. And so that's very important to have an export-focused supplier. And of course, lastly, you can come to our website, indiasourcing.net. We have got a range of vetted suppliers. We don't have thousands of suppliers, and we probably won't ever have thousands of suppliers, because we are being very selective about the suppliers that we invite to join the platform. And we are basically vetting them to ensure that they are manufacturers and that they are also exporters. And you can find a great quality list of suppliers on the platform.
Okay, very good. Now, with working in China, one of the things that we've told people to do is to try to deal in the currency of China. So with RMB, instead of paying in USD, because there's a hedge there. It could be a 5%, it could be a 10% hedge. Would you do the same thing in India and pay in rupees? Try to pay your supplier in rupees, let them know right up front, we're going to pay in rupees rather than USD?
No, in India you wouldn't be able to do that, because there is a government requirement that exporters need to receive their payments in US dollars, and that is required for them to receive certain benefits from the government, like there are duty drawbacks and other things that are required. And so in order for them to show that they have exported some goods outside of the country, they need to show that they have received the payment for those goods in the foreign currency, and it's mostly US dollars. So you can pay for samples in Indian rupees if you want to, but for export orders, it's always it's mostly US dollars. I don't think you can pay in other currencies, probably other currencies as well, but the majority of payments are in US dollars.
Oh, that's interesting. So that's good to know. I would have done the other way and not got my product. But what about inspections?
The supplier wouldn't have accepted the payment in INR in the first place.
Okay.
So, yeah.
what about inspections? How easy is it to get an inspection, and what kind of cost are you looking at?
Yeah. So for inspections, there are different options available. The major companies that you're probably familiar with for China, such as V-Trust and Kima, they have offices in India too, and they do inspections in all major cities. And the pricing is sort of similar to what it is in China, so around $250 to $300 per man day for inspections. There are also really good local companies in India, and one of the companies that we recommend is RSJ Inspection. And they have great coverage throughout the country, and they can also do any kind of inspection that you want. And this company specifically is very, very customer focused, and we really love working with them because once they get a new client, the first thing that they do is set up a Zoom call with the client and try to understand their requirements and really give everybody very personalized service. But that's a great company to work with. But inspections work just as they do in China. It's pretty similar. You've got third-party inspection companies. There are also individual inspectors, freelancers that you can contact that are based in certain cities where products are manufactured, and they can go visit the factory and do an inspection on your behalf. But typically, importers use a third-party inspection company, and to do midline inspection, final inspection. Usually the bigger buyers, they would do more of like at least 2 or 3 inspections, so they would definitely do a midline inspection once production has started, and then they would do a pre-shipment inspection. Whereas Amazon sellers, I find that they typically just do Victor is saying RSJ inspection is very professional. Yes, absolutely. So typically they would just do a final pre-shipment inspection, but sometimes it's too late to fix issues. So if you do have a sizable order, it's always advisable to do a midline inspection as well, especially for handmade products.
Right.
Because once something is done, if there's an issue with let's say a wooden product, if you don't catch that issue right at the beginning of the production process, it's very difficult to fix that problem once the product is finished and polished and packed and everything. So inspection otherwise is not an issue at all.
So I'm going to flip it the other way. We've got all these Amazon sellers looking for new places to source. But can these Amazon sellers start selling in India? I know it was very, very tough to do in the past.
Yeah. It is possible to do, definitely. But it is still a bit, I wouldn't say tough, but there are a lot of, rules and regulations and all that you need to follow. So first of all, you do need to have some sort of a company in India in order to list as a seller on Amazon, because you do need to have a GST number to set up an Amazon seller account in India. So, but there are companies that can help you do that. There are companies that can help set up a company for you in India without you actually going there, and they can provide you, local directors as well. So there are services that offer that. So that's one thing. You do need a company in India. And once you have a company in India, then you have to do, monthly GST filings and income tax returns. And there are a lot of different sort of regulations that you have to follow. But again, you hire a company to do that. So that's not an issue. The other thing selling on India is you want to make sure that you're choosing the right product, because India is a very competitive market. And that's mainly because it's very price conscious. And a lot of the products that are sold on Amazon or in general in India, they are low priced and less margin. So mostly people who make a profit, they're basically selling very high volumes, and they make a profit on volumes because sales are so high, because the population is growing or is huge. So you have to be careful about the product categories that you choose, the types of product, the pricing. India is also a very value conscious sort of market, so you have to provide value. And the other thing that you might realize once you start selling in India is that return rates are much higher than they are in other countries. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One is, the country is value conscious. So if they think that the product is not value for money, they will return it. And sometimes there are also things like, maybe in smaller cities, they buy the product, but they don't, accept it when the product is delivered, because there is cash on delivery as an option that's available. You don't have to pay by credit card. There's cash on delivery available as well. So yeah, a very exciting market to sell into, but not for the newbies, not for people who are just starting out. If you're an established seller, I know sellers who are doing really well with supplements in India.
I was just going to say.
Gym, or exercise equipment and gym equipment and that sort of stuff. Fitness, especially supplements. It's huge. It's growing crazily.
Somebody reached out to us at PR Reach, and they were selling in India. And we started talking, and they said, I think I mentioned this before on the podcast. Oh, we're doing pretty good. We're selling about 10,000 units. I thought, wow, 10,000 units, supplements a month. That's awesome. No, a day. And it was, what?
Exactly.
I couldn't believe it. 10,000 units a day in supplements.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But you know what? You're 100% right. I don't know the model, but I'm sure it's got to be just very tight, high volume, low profit.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Do you have anything to say about that as well, Margaret?
Well, excuse me, not really. Look, I think, to me, unless, like Meghla said, unless you really know what you're doing, it's probably not somewhere you would start. I think you need to start somewhere that's a little bit easier for the new people. And it's also probably a little bit difficult for Australian or US people to decide what is needed in India. I think it's, you've got to be there to see how they live and what they need in their home. I think it's a little bit different to the way we live. It's not like, we can jump on TV and watch what's, in a home in America, and sort of that's right. I do a lot of my research now by watching all the American home shows, which Kevin loves. You can, to India, it's very hard for us to know how they live within their home. I mean, we actually were privileged to get to our suppliers' home and see how they live and, what they have on the table. And it's not what I would think. So I think you could easily go wrong if you went into anything like that. So I think if you're going to do it, it'd need to be more like I don't know, powdered milk. I have no idea whether you can do that, but something that's going to be needed more than just a decor or anything like that. I think it'd be just too difficult to get it right.
And Helium-10 is available for India now, for Amazon India. So
what?
that
I didn't know
really
that.
helps. Yeah, Helium-10 is available. That was like a couple of months ago, I think, that they announced.
Oh, yeah.
I never even thought.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
Okay, so before we get into our questions, just one quick. We have a giveaway today. It is a course around, the value of the course is $279. It's a 2-day course that both Meghla and Margaret will be doing about sourcing in India. It's going to be going from A to Z. And if you're interested in grabbing that course, it is a giveaway today is #Wheel of Kelsey. And if you want to enter if you want to have another chance of entering, just tag 2 people. And that should give us enough time to go through a few questions, and then we'll get to the wheel. Meghla, you've never seen the Wheel of Kelsey. I don't think Margaret has either.
No.
I think the last time. You haven't seen it, have you?
No.
No.
Oh, by the way, Aiden's, you probably didn't see the last podcast, but Kelsey's brother Hayden has a very peculiar sense of humor. So to come to Vegas, he got me this shirt. I don't know if people can see it. Who needs a boyfriend when you can have lunch with Norm?
Oh, exactly.
Sent it to my hotel room. Now I've got to wear it around.
Sweet.
Okay,
Love
so Kels, let's get into the questions.
Okay, great. My Wi-Fi is a little iffy right now, so if I cut out, I'll just post the questions from below. But the first one is from Fatiha. We got lots of questions, by the way. But I feel that mostly it's only household decor and textiles that is imported from India. What else do they specialize in?
So there's also leather products. There are a lot of fashion accessories like bags, shoes, belts. There's furnishings, a lot of organic cotton, yes, textiles, bedding products, ceramics, wood, metal, of course, those are household decor. Um, what else? What else am I missing, Mark?
Wood.
Eco-friendly products. I think those
Yeah,
are
a lot of
big.
eco-friendly. Yeah, a lot of eco-friendly products come out. Yeah, so yeah, there is a big variety, but you're not going to get anything if you want something made out of plastic, silicon. India is not the place. That is definitely something that they don't do. But yeah, anything else, glass they do.
Yeah, glass.
There is lots of options, and I think it's just you deciding what materials you want and finding a supplier, and then designing what you want. Really, the opportunity I think is there to have made whatever you can think of and portray to them.
And what about wood products?
Yeah, wood is really good from India, and there's a lot of handcrafted wood. And in fact, most of the products that come out of India are made from mango wood, which is a very sustainable kind of wood. It's easy to work with, and it's got a beautiful grain, and it's very sustainable because the mango tree has a lifespan of about 12 to 14 years. And after it stops giving fruit, that's when it's cut down for its wood. So it's sort of lived its lifespan. So they're not cutting down forests to procure this kind of wood. So and they're planting more trees as they're cutting down mangoes because the mango tree is used for the fruit. So it's a very sustainable kind of wood.
Great. Okay, next question is from Faye. Is the exporting shipping process in India as simple as China?
Margaret, do you want to take that?
Yes, look, it's really no different. You don't have any issues with it. I mean, if you're exporting wood, you just need, like there's a Lacey Act, you just need some paperwork. But look, my supplier and my shipper do it all. I basically don't have to worry. They know the processes. Luckily in the group, we've got a really great freight forwarder who is excellent at handling all your paperwork from A to Z. So they've got a customs brokerage in the US as well. So they can basically take the goods from my supplier. He gives them all the relevant paperwork. Between them, they work that out. It's clear support at India and clear support, and we've never had any issues getting things through, provided you've got your paperwork. So I think provided you don't get a dodgy cheap freight forwarder, if you use someone reputable, you shouldn't have any problems with dealing with it. It's very, very much the same as China, as in the paperwork.
We're still dealing with the same issues that we're having in China right now with shortages of containers, correct?
Not as much, no.
No?
We haven't, no. Well, there's not the delays. I mean, the shipments are still coming out of India fairly quickly. They're getting to the port and they're leaving the same week. So we haven't struck any of those issues. Shipping's gone up slightly, but nothing like China. Okay. Nowhere near it.
Okay, the next question is from Sam. What are the general payment terms? Like majority of people work on 3070 on Alibaba.
It's quite similar in India as well. And of course, it's up to you to negotiate with your supplier. If you can do 2080, then good for you. Once you develop a relationship with the supplier, once you place a few orders, they'll also, be open to giving you credit. So you can also get some credit terms. And Mark, do you want to talk about payments to your supplier?
Yeah, well, look, we're very privileged. We've got a great relationship with our supplier, and I don't actually even pay a deposit anymore because we've been dealing with him so long. So I think once you build up a trust and a relationship, and like we call them our family. I mean, happy birthday. We know all about them and their dog and everything else. So it's more of a relationship building thing, I think, in India. So you can become friends with them. And look, we'd love to have them come over here and stay with us. And, if we go back, we've seen our apartment in their home where we're going to stay next time we go to the factory and all those sorts of things. So I think the relationship is so different. And once you get that trust, you might get away with no deposit at most. I think a few people have approached me and said they've been asked for 50% on their first order. but it may be because, you know, you knew they don't know them, and it's quite often on a smaller order. So I think, you know, some of the factories may just be a little bit nervous at first, you know, dealing with a new customer, but most of them it's 30% is the norm, I think.
Okay. From Daniel, sometimes Chinese factories may be also your competitor. Most part of India suppliers are also Amazon sellers. How do you protect ourselves? Is there a standard agreement with legal force based on Indian laws?
So you can definitely sign an agreement or you know, like a contract with a supplier when you start working with them. And the thing with India is that the entire legal system and everything is in English, so your contract will be in English. Whereas in China, it needs to be a bilingual contract, and to be enforceable in court, it has to be a Chinese language contract. But in English, it can be in India, it can be in English. You can contact a lawyer in India that can, you know, write up a contract for you and get it signed by the supplier. So yeah, drafting a contract, signing a contract, that's not an issue at all. Typically, we find that most of the suppliers that deal with with importers or overseas buyers, they are not selling directly on Amazon as of now. You know, that may change in the next few, you know, months, years. We don't know. But as of now, we find talking to suppliers, they want to focus more on manufacturing and you know, OEM, and that's sort of their strength. They want to focus on that. There are companies that are trying to you know, sell their own brand on Amazon, but I don't see a lot of companies being successful because, you know, it's a totally different ball game selling on Amazon. But there are a lot of individuals in India who are now starting to sell on you know, on Amazon US. So these are basically just entrepreneurs in India who are sourcing products either from India or from China, and they're selling online. But we don't see a lot of manufacturers selling directly.
Okay, and I guess along those lines, Jessica Rabbit, aka Roslyn, is asking, how likely is factory or handmade designer to IP its customer's design? Do you need the same level of IP protection in India as in China?
So there are a couple of things. You can, you know, get your NNN signed in India as well. So you can have the supplier sign an NNN if you have a very unique design and you want to protect it. You can also ask the supplier not to display the design anywhere or the product anywhere in their showroom or if they're at a trade show. But you have to be very particular about that, and you have to, you know, make sure that you tell them you don't want your design going out because, yeah, I mean, sometimes they might show it on a show in their showroom, or they might, you know, take it to a trade show or something, and it might go out. But otherwise, we've found generally, I mean, the professional export-focused companies, they are you know, more careful about their buyers' IP. And I mean, we haven't heard of any supplier, you know, designing products based on their buyers, you know, designs for another buyer, or, you know, selling their buyers' products under their own brand. So, but of course, you know, it's something that you always have to be careful of when you are sourcing. So just make sure that you're protected, and that you are really specific with your supplier that you want your design protected, especially if it's something, you know, patented or very unique.
Yeah, I mean, what would it hurt? I've never
Yeah.
done one, but what would it hurt to have a trademark or something in India, just like you would in China?
Yeah, it
Especially
wouldn't
if
hurt
you,
at all. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I
In
don't know
fact,
how expensive that would be, but
very
there's
cheap.
definitely companies out there that
Yeah.
are
Cheap.
able to do
Yeah,
that.
it's very cheap, just a few $100s. In fact, we are doing a trademark in India currently, and we've got a great lawyer over there in case anyone's interested. He's you know, studying in the UK, and he's absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's very easy to do a trademark there. And in fact, if you are sourcing in high volumes, and if you have a very, you know, recognizable sort of brand, it is advisable to register your trademark in the country that you're sourcing from as well, whether it's China or India.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question, Kels.
All right. Let me see. From Amar, what's the advantages of sourcing from India versus China? Is there cheaper sourcing, less shipping cost and time, possibly to have a backup in case China gets heavy tariffs from the U.S.?
Do you have a couple of hours? We can talk about this for a long time. But I guess, at a very high level, a lot of different unique products that you can find in India that you can't find in China. So a lot of the handmade, high quality, premium metal, wood, home decor items, textiles. Then shipping cost in time, I would say it's sort of comparable to China. In fact, currently it's probably lower. But then, yeah, I mean, shipping time, and Mark, you can talk about the shipping time in a bit. But overall, it's pretty comparable. The other advantages, I would say, communication is easier. So most of the suppliers would speak in English, and so not much gets lost in translation. Yeah, a lot of focus on eco-friendly products. If that's a category that you're looking into, there's a lot of demand for eco-friendly products nowadays. You can consider those types of products as well.
Yeah, and I think the tariff too is quite different. I mean, the tariff we pay usually, it's either free or 2%, which I know China, I think most of the things there are around, the 30% mark, depending on what category they're in, obviously. But I think home goods and that are quite high. So that's a big saving, to start with. And look, shipping time is about what we suggest, and people probably don't understand this, is you actually are advised to go into New York, not into California, because the ship actually goes the reverse way around. So it only takes 21 days from when it leaves the port of Nava Sheva at Mumbai till it lands in New York. So that works out good. And at the moment, it's great because we don't have all the, I suppose, Chinese shipments coming into that side, so there's not as much congestion. So whereas I know California's got a huge congestion problem, we've had a slight delay this time. Normally our ship will go in the same day that it sort of hits the port and be unloaded. I think our last shipment about 6 weeks ago, it took probably somewhere about an extra 5 days because there was a lot more congestion than we're used to, but nothing in the range of China. So I think in those, and it'll probably never be the same because, you've always got that bigger volume going in Chinese New Year or whatever to California, whereas I think it's more, I suppose, and that's the other thing about India, we don't have like a Chinese New Year. They have more odd days throughout the year than a close down. So India doesn't stop even over Christmas. They just keep working, and you'll just find they usually might have a 2-day extra weekend once, I think it is, during the year, but the rest of the time it keeps flowing. So that's also a good advantage. There's not that issue with having to rush your orders before Chinese New Year and try and get them out and all those things that happen in China.
Right.
Okay, great. So yeah, thank you to our audience for all these questions. They really loaded us up today. One from Simon is, how is the market for fitness clothing, most of which is actually made in India?
Does he mean the Indian market for fitness clothing, like to sell fitness clothing in India?
I think so. Is that
Yeah,
right?
probably.
Maybe
Yeah,
sourcing.
it's pretty sourcing. Yeah, it
I
depends.
would think that's what it is.
Yeah,
Simon, if
selling
you just
it
want to
is-
clarify that, and then we can get back to that question.
Yeah.
Okay. From Rad, we are seeking solar light manufacturers in India. Have they lowered their local tariff for exporters?
I'm not very sure about that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we touched on this a little bit. Is it a good idea to source plastic products from India since China is known for cheap plastic?
No. China is the place
Yeah.
to go for cheap plastic.
Yeah, I think Victor was saying he tried to source a mini bubble level in India, and the quantity 1,000 cost was 41 cents each, and China's was about 8 cents.
Yeah.
Okay, and for those interested in the T-shirt that Norm is wearing right now, we do have a merch store. I put the link in the comment section, so you could get that T-shirt yourself. Also, some fun Wheel of Kelsey T-shirts and other fun stuff as well. Faye is enjoying your T-shirt, as well as a couple others in the comments section. From Usman, are suppliers in India hard to deal with? Are they stingy, or are they trying to get the best for you? And is the quality comparable to China?
The quality is really good, I would say. And of course, different suppliers are, different. I mean, there are good suppliers and there are, sloppy suppliers as well. There are all types of suppliers, whether in China or India. So you want to make sure that you find the right supplier. I don't think they're difficult to deal with as such. They're very accommodating. But one thing you have to take note of is that things move slower in India. And sometimes the lead times are longer, so you have to be a bit patient. The samples might take longer. In China, they probably work like 24 hours and, the double shifts and all. I used to work in China. So I know that they're very sort of, driven and work. But India is more relaxed and more work-life balance, and they start working at 11 a.m. The factory boss will reach the factory at 11 a.m. and things are a bit slower. So do expect, delays to happen sometime, or just things to move a bit slower. But otherwise, they're okay to work with. And of course, it also depends on the nature of the person, and different people are sort of different, and how well they get along with you. That's another thing. So
Yeah.
But Mark, do you
And
want to add
it-
to that?
Yeah, look, I think it's just all about relationships. I think, it's an easy country to make a good relationship with. And if you work with your supplier and treat them nicely, and don't be demanding, and sort of, if they're a little bit slow, just go back nicely and nudge them. But I find if you ask for something, they'll always go, yes, we can do that. They hate saying no. And I find I'll say, can you do this? Yeah, not a problem, Mark, whatever you want. And it's always, they just want to please you. And we've actually spoken to our supplier at length about issues and stuff, and he's actually said to us, if they found a problem, or we found a problem in anything that they were producing, they would take a loss and fix it to make sure we were happy, than push something out the door just for the sake of getting that money. They don't seem to be as money hungry, I don't think. They're sort of, and that's another thing I found dealing with China. To get your product out the door of the factory, you had to pay the money into the bank, and even though you'd sent them the monies in your bank, unless their accountant had ticked it off a week later, they wouldn't release my goods. Whereas I find now, I say, has my product left? Yes, I haven't paid you yet. Oh, it's okay, I'll send you the bill in a little while. It's on its way to the port. So it's a lot more freely. Once you get that relationship going, they're not so, I suppose, stringent about all those. They know you'll pay, that you have a trust with them, and they do the same with you. So I think, people are just got to learn to be really, it's a different culture, so you can be a lot more friendly with them.
But even with China, I think that the culture sees North American anyways as they want it down and dirty and cheap instead of the higher quality. So unless you really come out, at least Chinese, when you're talking with Chinese factories, and say, look, I want a better quality, I want a higher perceived value, I'll pay that nickel more, you'll probably end up with a product that's fairly inexpensive, because that's what every other Amazon seller wants. They're going after the cheap rather than the quality. So I'm very familiar with dealing with Chinese suppliers and stating that I don't want the cheapest, I want the best. I don't know if that would be the same in India. If they have that same, Amazon sellers, they want cheap.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's that that sort of perception is there, and they also want like very small very small orders.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other thing that suppliers complain about. That not complain, but the Amazon sellers are known to place like, okay, I'll do like 100 pieces or 200 pieces. But the good thing is that in India they can accommodate small orders. They're very, very flexible, especially for the handmade products, they can do smaller orders as well. So yeah, but you're
Very
right,
good.
Norm. You have to be very particular, and you have to emphasize the fact that yes, you want good quality. You can't compromise on quality. Yeah.
Okay, great. And we have just 2 more questions. We'll do it, then we'll get to the wheel and wrap things up.
And then Margaret's going, I can go to bed.
All right, this is from Nicholas. Meghla, a word about the different states, like culture in the northern states versus southern states. What states are the best at leatherwork, metalwork, woodwork? Are there different regions that do things better compared to others?
So at a very high level, again, this is a very long answer to this question, but in general, yes, there are differences in all of the different states, and culturally they're quite different. Metalwork, woodwork, leatherwork is mostly done in the north, and there are some cities in the south as well, but typically this handicraft work is done in the north. The south, there's mostly textiles, a lot of knitted garments, knitted fabrics. eco-friendly products such as coir doormats are produced in the south as well. So yeah, production is spread all over India, different production centers, and yeah, the cultures are quite different as well.
Okay. And our last question is from Moses. What are the income tax implications for U.S. citizens selling on Amazon India? Is there any treaty with the U.S. for global income?
So I'm not sure about the treaty with the US, but you do need to have a company set up in India in order to sell on Amazon India, because you do need a GST number. And so, yeah, you would need to file, taxes for your company and file your GST returns in India.
Do you know Samesh Thacker?
Yes. Yeah, totally.
What a
He does that,
really great
yeah.
guy. But he had a company that was doing that. I don't know if he still
Yeah.
does.
I think he still does. Yeah, we've done a webinar with him as well about that, and yeah, so he helps sellers sell
Yeah.
in India and basically set up the company and manage all your all the income tax requirements. Yeah.
We should get him on. I just thought of him since,
Yeah.
I mean, and he's a really great guy to deal with as well. But he might be able to help. Excuse me. And I haven't even had cigars yet. But just wait. But he is somebody that I know it was fairly complicated, that he was trying to take the pain points out of setting up
Yeah.
a place in India. So I'll reach out to him and see if he'd like to come on.
Do you have any contact information or website?
Yeah, I'll give it. I'll give it to you afterwards, Kels. I don't have it
Okay.
right at my fingertips.
All right. Okay, so I think it's that time for the Wheel of Kelsey. Meghla and Margaret, please enjoy.
Sit back.
Yeah, relax and enjoy the Wheel of Kelsey.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
Thank you, everyone who participated in this Wheel of Kelsey for today. Yeah, so this is for the workshop from India Sourcing Network. So I'm just going to shuffle this up. If you are the winner, please contact me at k@lunchwithnorm.com and I will arrange everything, especially those the YouTubers. I have no way of contacting you, so you have to contact me or you won't be able to get the prize. But anyways, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Now you're supposed to say wheel.
Oh,
Kelsey.
Kelsey. All right, Brian.
Ooh.
Brian C. So I believe he's a Facebook user.
All right, Brian. Enjoy.
So Brian, you
That's
can
gonna be
again,
good.
Congratulations, Brian.
yeah, email me at k@lunchwithnorm.com. Also, our Facebook is, if that's easier as well. We just need your email information, and we'll be able to get that to you.
And if you give me 1 sec, I'm just trying to get Samesh's information.
Okay, and
I don't know.
while we wait, Meghla, Margaret, is there anything? How do we contact you? How do people get a hold of you if they're interested in India Sourcing Network?
Well, I think Messenger is the best. So Facebook Messenger, you can look for us on Facebook, send us a message. Margaret, the same for you?
Yeah, I think it's as easy as anything. It's quickly that way.
Yeah.
And the website is indiasourcing.net. So if you are interested in sourcing in India, check it out. And also reach out to Margaret and Meghla. And, of course, the course that's coming up on the 21st, I think you said?
21st of
And it's a
August.
2-day course.
Yeah.
So, ladies, thank you for coming on. Thank you for staying up so late. I mean, it's fantastic that you're doing it. You're crazy to do it. But
We wouldn't do it for anyone but you, Norm. See?
Yes.
well, you know what the beauty is? I didn't even have to sit back and talk. I could just go, okay, ladies, go ahead. So, anyways, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. And we will talk to you soon.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you for having
See you
us.
in India, Norm, when we go.
What's that?
We'll see you in India when we go.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah. I told you that I think I told Meghla, my son used to live in India. He was teaching music in New Delhi, and he was studying Indian music. So yeah, he wants to get back there and go back to university. But anyways, yes, I will see you hopefully in India one of these days. I would love to go. All right, so I think this was an awesome podcast. I hope you learned something. China's not the only spot. There's lots of places around the world to check it out. India is definitely a spot to check out, and go to check out the website that we were just posting and see if Meghla Margaret could help you out. Okay, so Kelsey, where are you?
Here I am.
There you
Yes,
are.
thank you everyone for watching. Looks like we had lots of questions, a lot of intrigue about
Lots of questions today.
sourcing in India. So thank you so much for everyone watching today. And if you are in Vegas and if you see that beard walking around the main strip, go off and say hi. Maybe get your hands in his beard and really ruffle them up.
No.
He loves it. He really loves
No.
it. Also, when you call him Santa Claus, that's that's get in his good books.
Yeah. Travelocity, Gnome, Santa Claus, get it out of your system, Kels.
Yeah.
Gandalf. yeah, any of those. But all right. So on Friday, we've got my buddy, my business partner, Afalabi Oricon coming on, and he's going to be talking about something that's not happening in India right now. The crazy problems with shipping, getting containers, the shipping costs. People are paying $15,000, $20,000, $23,000 a container now, and he's going to be talking about that. So, and also he's going to be talking about sourcing in the U.S. So stay tuned for that. And also, just a quick thank you to Dot Club. And we're going to have Dot Club coming on very, very soon. Colin was on the other day, but we're going to be talking about domains and the importance of domains. But just wanted to thank our sponsor for the episode, Dot Club, the most used new top-level domain name and the perfect web address for your business. And like I said before they came a sponsor, I always use, for the most part, clubs, because I like building communities around my product. So check it out. You can visit just www.get.club. All right. I think that's it for today. Kelsey, anything else?
Yep. We've got some people giving some suggestions. Mr. Potato Head, ZZ Top. Yes, they're all great. Norm loves them all.
All right, Simon.
But yes,
ZZ Top's cool. Mr. Potato Head, not so much.
So if you haven't yet, smash those like buttons, share it to a friend if you have someone who is looking for sourcing. Get the word out there. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. You can always follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. Where else do we got? LinkedIn, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I think that's about it.
Perfect. So join us every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. I should have thought about that before coming to Vegas, but noon Eastern Standard Time. And hey, everybody, thank you for being part of the community. Thank you for joining us today. We really couldn't do this without you, because if I'm just talking to Kelsey, I wouldn't be too excited. No, I would be. He's my son. And like I said, hashtag I love Kelsey. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Entrepreneur.